All right, good morning, everybody. We're just leaving Columbus, Georgia, or Columbus, Georgia, Columbus, New Jersey. I've got a friend of mine, Jack Smith. I had dinner with him last night. He and I worked at the Air Advisor Academy. He was actually my instructor before I deployed to Afghanistan.
In a quarter mile, turn left onto Bordentown Heading Road.
Anyway, he's a boy. He's put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles on his BMWs. And he's decided to come out and join me this morning and go for a ride down to Delaware with me, and then we're going to have breakfast. So in 2010, I redeployed from Afghanistan back home to Fairchild Air Force Base, where I was a deputy group commander for a year. While I was home, I got contacted by the Air Force Air Education Training Command. They wanted me to be the Commandant of the Air Advisor Academy, which hadn't been stood up yet. So they wanted me to stand up the Air Advisor Academy, make it a formal course. And so in spring of 2011, I was get set to move my family from Fairchild to New Jersey, to McGuire Air Force Base, Joint Dix McGuire Air Force Base, and take over the Air Advisor and start up the Air Advisor Academy. And Jack was one of the very first persons I worked with. But before I went, Air Education Training Command asked me to go to Afghanistan again in the spring of 2011 to do an assessment of air advisors in the field in Iraq and Afghanistan, actually. And I had two teams, and I was in charge, and we all went back to Afghanistan and Iraq, and we interviewed all the advisors and asked them what they thought of the training and how well did it prepare them in the field. So we got really, really good feedback as to what I needed to do as the Air Advisor or Commandant to stand up a really good program. Well, so I went to Afghanistan. My other team lead went to Iraq, and so I went to all the different bases in Afghanistan again. It was like 9 months after I had left the first time, and saw all my old Afghan friends and a lot of my Air Advisor friends. One of them was James McLaughlin. He was the very first guy that I met when I got to Afghanistan in 2009. Greeted me when I got to the Afghan side. He was an Army retired lieutenant colonel, contractor over there, U.S. contractor. But so anyway, we were there for I think 2 weeks, and then once we got done in late April of doing our assessment, we flew back to Qatar to do all the paperwork and put our report together. I had a team of like 12 or 14 people, I can't exactly remember. And, and the irony there is the people I stayed with last night, Kevin, he ran the airport in Bagram, and when my team left in Bagram in April of 2011, he was the one that got me a flight, and I became friends with him there. Ironically, when I moved to New Jersey after I got back from Afghanistan in that 2011 deployment assessment trip, my son joined the cross-country team and for Northern Burlington High School, and we were at our first cross-country meet that summer, and my son said, hey, yeah, would you like to meet my new best friend? You know, he had a new friend there on the cross-country team, and that kid came over. His name was Zach, and Zach says, hey, do you want to meet my parents? And his parents came over, and it was none other than Kevin, the guy that helped me in Afghanistan 4 months earlier. I couldn't believe it. I mean, the chances of that are just astronomical. But anyway, his dad and I and his mom, we all became very close friends. I ended up commissioning his son at the Air Force Academy, Zach. Zach was the best man at my son's wedding, and there's a tradition in the military where a first salute is given. And my son was commissioned at Colorado State in the United States Army, ROTC. And Kevin came up there for his graduation. And Kevin's a retired Chief Master Sergeant. Well, and he had his uniform on, and and my son Andrew gave his first salute to Kevin. So anyway, there's the other side story there. And I stayed with Kevin and Carrie last night at their beautiful home. All right, so back to April 2011, we left Afghanistan thanks to Kevin out of Bagram, and got back to Qatar. And it was just, I think it was like 4 or 5 days after we left, a man named Ahmad Gul, he was a pilot for the Afghan Air Force. It was on April 27th, 2011, just about four days after we left there doing our assessment. Ahmad Gul walked into a conference room that I spent hours and hours in. Ahmad Gul, I'd actually gotten into an argument with him the year before. Just didn't really like that guy. But anyway, he walked into a conference room. There was 2 adjoining rooms. One was a communication center, and the other was a conference room. We had many, many meetings. And there were advisors in both rooms. And he walked in, pulled his gun, and started shooting. He killed 8 people in the room. 8 people in the room with his gun. He just walked around, bang, 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 bang. A couple of them were alive. The adjoining room evacuated, but one man stayed back and fought with him, and he was killed as well. He was awarded the Silver Star. He could have got out, but he didn't. Anyway, so 9 of our guys were killed by this man. He eventually died. Whether he died of his own hand or the Afghan forces that showed up killed him, we don't know. There's lots of theories on why he did it. Was the Taliban paid him to give money to his family? Did he was to be a martyr? What was his goal? But 9 of my colleagues, some of them dear friends, were killed, and that's why we were still in Qatar. And it was devastating news. And so I decided right there and then that first and foremost, we're going to have to ensure that the training that we do at the academy when we stand it up is going to prevent that shooting from happening again. And over time, we learned that we had to change our mindset to a more combative type approach and more awareness type approach. And something that I think we fell short on our training before. Short on my command when I was over there, deputy group commander, more awareness, more combative kind of mindset. So the first order of business when I got to the academy and stood it up is stand up a combatives program. That's a hand-to-hand type fighting. And as an advisor, you see, you are so close order with your counterparts. You have to be able to be close. You have to develop relationships, but as a result, you also have to be more aware. And so that was one of the things that I wanted to do, is bring combatives. And there was a lot of pushback because we're Air Force, we don't do combatives, but that's exactly what we ended up doing. I brought SEER specialists, survival instructors from the survival school where I was just left, and we had a combatives program there. And the whole purpose of the program was twofold. One, to develop a combat attitude, but if something was to go wrong, the whole idea of this particular combatives techniques is not to take somebody down and have them tap out. It was to create time and space. So your awareness was down, somebody has drawn a gun, you're in a bad situation. Well, how do you fight yourself away from that to get a safe distance so you can draw your weapon or get out of that area? So that was my mindset. And the other part of it was, people were saying, oh, you're going to make these guys are going to go get in fights and going to get, at bars or whatnot, which was ridiculous. I said, well, when you do this combatives training, you realize that combat is, especially hand-to-hand combat, is extremely difficult, and you're going to do whatever you can to avoid getting into it, because if you think you're some tough guy, you're not. So that was my idea on that. The other thing we did was, from day one, when you arrived at the Air Advisor Academy, we issued weapons, and we said that at some point there's going to be a shooting here. You guys need to be aware. You're going to wear your weapons all over the base, while you're on base. There were plastic ones, but I wanted to get the feel of where their weapon was, uh, and being ready to deploy it at all times. We got approval to wear them on base, and bring your guns, your blue guns. They're obviously fake, but and from the time you come into the academy until the first day, you have to realize you're like in Afghanistan, and you start building your awareness. And that was my second order of business, is to create an awareness, because that once a shooting starts, you've lost. Somebody's going to die. I wanted my people to be aware of the potential for shooting, and and understand what is going on around them. So, in that light, with awareness, I wanted to build a memorial to honor my fallen comrades and their families, and that was critical to me. That 9 people had been killed. It was the largest single fatal shooting since Vietnam for the Air Force. And anyway, this guy wouldn't let me in. I'll get back over there. Anyway, sorry, I lost my track. I was right. So we were going to build this memorial for them, and then the second part of the memorial is to also build awareness for my academy students. They come there, they say, hey, look, here's a memorial to 9 advisors that were gunned down just a few months ago, and you guys need to be aware that this is real, and it's got to be evident, it's got to be right in your face. And so that was a second-fold idea behind me when I built that, or I had the memorial. And when I got to New Jersey, I was a lieutenant colonel, I was a colonel select, but I show up to the base commander, and I told him I'm the new commandant. I'm standing up the Air Advisor Academy. He goes, what's that? He didn't really know about the academy. Oh, okay, I heard about you guys. And then I said, I'm standing up the academy in this one building, and also I'm going to be building a memorial. For what? Well, we had 9 guys gunned down that were trained right here. He goes, what? He literally didn't know that. He knew about the shooting, but he didn't know that they had trained at McGuire, Joint Base McGuire Dix Lakehurst. And I just thought it was critical that, whoa, let me try to get out here. Got to stay with Jack because I don't know where we're going. I took my GPS off. So anyway, I found that there weren't, the local community didn't know that all these advisors that had been gunned down had trained right there in New Jersey. So I told him about the shooting. I said, I want to build a memorial. And okay, well, he sent me to the what's called Civil Engineer Squadron. And the civil engineer, I met with the squadron commander and his chief deputy, who was a civilian and been there for years, a New Jersey guy. And had an appointment with the squadron commander. It was like my second appointment about talking about the memorial. And the New Jersey guy says, excuse me, sir, you want to build this memorial for what? And I told him about the shooting. Again, nobody knew it was from here. And he goes, now, okay, so do you have any plans? And I said, well, not really. I've got an idea what I want it to look like. How big is it going to be? Roughly the size of a basketball court. Okay, and do you have any money? I go, no, I don't have any money. Do you have an approved location? No. No plans, no money, no location. He repeated. I go, yep. He goes, look, I can't help you, but I know a guy. And he referred to me to the company of E.P. Henry, which was a paver company just outside of the base. And so I went there, and make sure we got good. And no kidding, those guys, I went in to talk to the Zeke, and I can't remember a whole guys. I had another appointment, and by then I had a pretty good chicken scratch idea of what I wanted to get done. And they folks at E.P. Henry, just right outside the gate, this big, huge, happened to be a paver company, make the materials that I wanted to make the advisor memorial on. And so I went over and talked to them, and they were super nice, and asking me, okay, so what is it you want to do? Build a memorial. Why? 9 guys are shot. Didn't realize, and they said they didn't realize it was our guys that were shot. And I explained to them, I said, look, I just want to build a memorial for my friends that were killed. And and they looked at me. You think of New Jersey as being tough guys, right? And they are. A lot of them are. But they are super patriots, let me tell you. So I looked at them and I said, I'm looking for an estimate on the cost of the materials for this memorial, showing them my drawings. And I can't remember what's the guy's name, but he looked at me. He says, hey, yeah, no, there ain't going to be any estimate. And I go, what? You can't, I'm trying to figure out how much I'm going to have to raise to buy these materials. No estimate. We got this. I said, excuse me? I said, we got this. We'll take care of it. So right there, they agreed to donate all, the bulk of the materials for the Air Advisor Academy. And this is like week 1. And I just was absolutely floored. And E.P. Henry was with me the rest of the way. Their expertise on building, and they came over and volunteered to help as well on their own time. So they donated 90% of the materials right there on the spot, whatever it was going to be. They'll take care of it. We got this, oldie. No worries. Oh my God. And so they told me to go see Chris Zendersky, and you guys met Chris yesterday over on the memorial, and we kind of explained the rest of the process. So we built this memorial within a year of my arrival here, and I thought it was beautifully done. It's become a rich part of the base now, and I'm so glad that it's still beautiful and can be continued to be taken care of. And they're actually adding, unfortunately, more advisors to the wall from the original NATCA 9. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. I'm sorry for these long talks, but yeah, that was a big part of my life, building that academy and building up that memorial and raising the money for it. Let me tell you, that was a chore. My sweet wife helped manage all that money, but we built that with 0 government funds, and it was really ended up being a great experience. But okay, all right, we're continuing south. There's somebody flying. We're going 78. He's probably going 95. Got to be really watching your rearview mirrors down here. I think we're just north of Philadelphia and getting south to Delaware pretty soon. All right. Anyway, you guys have a good day. We'll talk a little bit later.